today's Red Dane top tip is on hoof health and managing hoof health. So one of the most important things is if you don't measure, if you don't look, you won't know. So we found for years we thought hoof health was not an issue until we started looking at it carefully, and we found before we started managing our hoof health we could have over 50% of cows that were lame to some degree. We've now started doing mobility scoring on all our cows once a week, and we're looking at each cow as they walk past. A good time to do this would be or actually probably better leaving the parlor, because they're normally walking in single file, and you can assess each cow's gait. We assess it from 1 to 5, 1 being a perfect cow walking really well, 2 being a cow that's starting to show a slight limp, almost indiscernible. A 3 would be a cow that's visibly limping, and a 4 would now be a cow that's arching its back, is in a lot of pain but still able to put some pressure on the hoof, and a 5 is a cow that literally can't put that foot down. Okay, here's a cow walking fast. She's walking well, a little slip, but otherwise she's got a good gait, nice and healthy, strong legs. Here's a cow that's I'd possibly put on a 2. She's putting a little bit of pain maybe on her front right. You can see she's not that happy, but still quite mobile. Here's a cow with again I'd say a 3 score, with her back. Actually, both her back hooves aren't that strong, but particularly her back left. And she actually seems to have some swelling in the hock, as opposed to a hoof problem. This red cow is not walking well. She's got long front hooves and she's definitely showing some pain. I'd probably score her a 3 as well. Often they lose condition when they have a hoof problem because they're in pain, and so you can pick that out. You can see from behind actually her rear left is actually giving some problems. Again, just starting, and that's the time to deal with it. Lift her hoof up, trim and clean, and get her standing on her toes rather than on the back of her hoof. Here's a cow that's visibly in a lot of pain, arching her back with very sore back hooves. That would be a 4 score, and she actually would need to be taken off concrete if she is on concrete and onto softer bedding, and have those hooves cleaned and trimmed. She's genetically not well put together. You can see she's hocking in and doesn't have a strong set of legs at all. Here's a young heifer that's walking fine, nice clean, her hooves are well trimmed, and she's got no problems walking on the concrete. Fairly obviously the cows that do have problems tend to be at the back of the group, so you don't have time to score the whole group. At least catch the last 10% of your cows. This is the tail end of one of the groups coming through. They tend to be in worse condition, and a lot of them showing some sign of limping. Record the numbers, and at the next milking maybe take them aside and have a look and lift their hoofs. We'll show you some easy ways of getting to the hoof and what to do with the hoofs later. So obviously when you go through your cows, you're going to see some lame cows. It's important to try and establish what's causing the lameness, and in some cases you're going to get some lame cows even if you have a perfect environment, just hooves that are grown out and things that need to be trimmed. But often there are also other causes, like a rough surface or stones on concrete where you get sole bruising, or actual physical injury. So it's good to look at the floor and see that you've got, especially on your concrete floors, some sort of texture to it or grooves in it so the cows don't slip without it being too rough. This is a typical floor that we see in dairies that have been patched up. You've got edges where cows can hurt themselves. You've got the stones sticking through, which is really sore for the cows to walk on, where you've had the concrete washed away over years. Those things need to be repaired. We found using rubber mats helps in some of the busy areas, and these can be bought especially for this type of thing, or you can find some old conveyor belting or things. But it's the problem with rubber mats or like conveyor belts that aren't designed for this is that they can become slippery. Generally, in fact, I'd say always, it's worth doing some form of foot bathing. Generally, you want 2 foot baths, one that washes the hooves and takes the worst of the manure out, and the second one where you put in your zinc oxide or copper sulfate or formalin, depending on the problems that you're having, to treat the hooves. Here's a very good example of a hoof that's not too bad, just needing a bit of cleaning up to make sure that the cow is standing on the outside of the hoof there, and not standing here or on the inside there. So this has just been trimmed with the right knife and the left knife. Our assistant here will just show us the trimming of the left side and the right side. It's always very important to have both hands on the knife, then you can't cut yourself, and that the cow is well restrained. This is a makeshift hoof trimming apparatus, but it does the job. You can see here how the ends have been clipped off with a good quality clipper, just to take the ends off so that it helps the cow to stand upright and not lean back and hurt the back of the hoof. It's important you have somewhere easy and safe for the operator and the cow. This is a very makeshift out of an old dairy, but you can obviously buy special crates made up for this, which would be recommended. In our case, we've got an old piece of conveyor, cut some grooves in it, so at least the cows are stable. Remembering often the cows that standing here might have sore hooves, so you don't want a rough concrete surface. Then we've got this bar over the top, makes it very easy to put a rope over so that you can heave the cow's leg up and then tie her onto a padded surface so you don't hurt her against the 90% of the time you're doing the rear hooves. To do the front hooves, you also need to make something like this here, where you can then tie the cow's leg to the side here so that you can get to it. This is not ideal.